Good evening, sir.
Hi, my love. How you doing?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Lord Jesus, tired, but I'm alive. It could have been worse, so I'm giving thanks. While you're here, I'm gonna try this to see if it works. I don't have an audio, but Lord Jesus, you know that was something a while ago. Mm. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm still not seeing it. Um, I'm still not seeing it.
That was the slide about the layers of the earth.
Right. But I'm still not seeing it displayed on my screen, and uh, mm, and it's still up.
No, sir. It's going.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just see if I can bring up. Um, all right. You seeing that now?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. And I'm also seeing it. All right, great. Um, I need to move here and move into some tectonics, just a little bit of overview for tectonics, and then that should take us up to the end of the class. All right, so I'll give another 10 minutes so people can just refresh. See if you can get yourselves refreshed. The rest of you who are here, Miss Marshall, good afternoon. Okay, so we can just get yourself refreshed, and then another 10 minutes to give the others an opportunity to get in. All right.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Cool. All right. Good afternoon again. I don't think it is fair to those who are here early to hold you at ransom for the others not coming in on time. So I'm going to begin. Um, Let me just extend my courtesies, saying to you, welcome. Uh, I really hope that you have been having a good day or have had a good day so far. Um, I trust that your first class went well, and I'm hoping that this last segment of the day for you in terms of school will be as fruitful or even more so than the previous class you had. Um, I think we need to have some conversations. Let me ask a question because every night I think I ask the same thing. How many of you had an opportunity to reread the document I sent and to look at the drawing that we dissected last class? Anybody?
Not me, sir.
Okay, thanks for your honesty, Asia. Anybody else? Anybody did it? Guys, I have six of you in class. I asked a question. Asia was the only one that responded. Can the rest of you respond for me, please? I'm
Oh,
not
sir,
going.
I
Yeah.
did that.
Okay. What about the rest? All right. You know what? I'm not going to be caught up into my feelings and get upset for the non-respondents. Um, I will just go on. All right. So we had a very what I call a robust conversation when we looked at the structure of the Earth, and more particularly the internal structure of the Earth. Uh, you know, speaking about the its temperature and looking at its mineralogy. I think the last time we were talking about the lithosphere, that the lithosphere is the that section of the structure of the earth that you and I walk upon, that you and I build on, that you and I have our pretty much um, means of livelihood. To this part, to the left of the structure, you'll see the ocean, um, and within the ocean, you are going to have bedrock. Uh, you're going to have the lithosphere mantle that runs under here, which is beneath the sea. Now, for someone who was a swimmer in the very early parts of my life, I know what a deep end feels like. I know what a deep end feels like. I also know, and I'm talking about the deep end that is, I think, 10, 12 feet, what it feels like. And and you have to get acclimatized to the water in order for you to do that. Some people say, me not gonna know water that past my ankle. Because once it past my ankle, that is it. Let alone for you to go into water that covers you, right? When you go into deep water, you feel it in your ears. The pressure um, is great. Some people say it is some 800 times more static than air. You know, it's heavy. What's the point I'm making? When you look at the when you look at the structure of the Earth, and you see this very thin layer of the ocean, and also thin it is here, because if the man then catch you and throw you out in a deep sea, um, I mean, the natural tendency is that, you know, as humans we are buoyant, so we will float. But the thing about it is that when you get into water, people start to panic now. Shark, whale, and these other creatures of the sea will come and get at you. So people start to panic and they start to take in water. The salt water also has an impact. I was watching a video pretty recently to say that people in the Black Sea cannot drown because people can't sink because of the high sodium content in the Black Sea. So you can drown, but what will happen is that the moment you get in there, your skin is going to start feeling some way, because it's going to start burn, because it's actually going to be drying out um, the water from the water from your skin. All right. So don't take it for granted. Really and truly, don't take it for granted that you're only seeing this little layer. It's very deep, and inside of the ocean, you're going to have different areas. And when you move to the upper level, we're talking about chemistry of the environment. You hear me speak more about this. These barnacles, how it is that when them born, them don't born in a shell. How it is that them get the shell on them. How it is that these conch get the shells on them. You know, all of those wonderful stuff. What is happening? Different aspect of the ocean has different concentration of carbon dioxide. So I think I asked a question some time ago if a fish can drown, and some people say, no sir, but enough water they make for going on, them can't drown. But in truth and in fact, there are some aspect of the ocean that is so heavily concentrated in carbon dioxide that a fish cannot survive in. That's just a living truth. All right. So if you ask me, if the fish goes there, the fish is going to suffocate. Some people may say, sir, then you're not going to suffocate and not drown. But if you're dead in the ocean, I drown and drown. For me, you know, joking. But so you have different areas, and some of the areas in the ocean, you will find the carbonates, because it is so heavily concentrated, it is literally falling out of solution. So then you can actually see the carbonates fall out of solution? Absolutely. Now, let me give you a practical example, and I want all of you to try this at home for me. Something that I normally do with my chem students. If you get some, I have two scenarios to tell you about. If you get some sugar and water, and you get a whole lot of sugar and put into some water, and you try to dissolve until no more sugar crystals can dissolve in it. I want you to increase the temperature of that sugar water, and then you find out that the undissolved sugar crystals will end up dissolving. Why, sir? Because temperature increases the rate of a reaction. So the warm water is going to cause the dissolution of the sugar crystal, the undissolved sugar crystals. Now, if you sit and you watch what is happening there, over time, as the water cools, you can literally see the sugar crystals falling out of solution, because it is so concentrated. The sugar crystals are going to fall out of solution. Sir, that don't make no sense. Try it.
Sir,
Yes, Papa.
sir, is it the same way why you have water in the close to the poles are that is denser than that is in the tropics? And you
Absolutely.
find the salt crystals on the ice itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Same way. It is heavily concentrated. So because it is heavily concentrated, you're going to have the salt crystals, the sugar crystals falling out of solution. Anybody ever buy a bottle of honey which is my second example. Anybody ever buy a bottle of honey and the man them say, no, man, I real honey this, man, but just take it out of the hive and I real honey this, we not add no sugar to it. And then after a while, you see, you pour out some of the honey and you try to close the top of the bottle that it's coming, and appear little sugar crystals, you see, forming around something. You can't even close a pair of red and sugar and stick it up. Anybody? No?
No, sir.
All
right.
Pure honey.
Well, I'm happy for you that you are able to always get pure honey. But yes, so what happens sometimes is that when you buy the honey and you put it, especially you put it on your kitchen counter where, you know, the temperature can get a little warm at times, especially if you have the oven on and, you know, you're cooking, etc., etc., you will actually see at the mouth of where the sugar is, lumps of sugar crystals coming out. I'm going to take a picture of almost finished honey bottle that I have to show you. What happens is that I'm actually seeing clumps of sugar in the bottom of my honey container. Clumps of sugar. So we're not talking about, you know, they don't have any additives, support and so on. Lie, right? The truth of the matter. Yes, please.
Sometimes they actually feed the bees sugar. Like
And that's a very good thing, Benico. So yeah, so sometimes when they give the bee the sugar and everything, when the honey is produced, you can actually get the extra sugar crystals that come out. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, man, that is so true. Very good observation, right? So what's the point I'm making? So the point is, in the ocean, you have the concentrated carbon dioxide literally falling out of solution. So some of these unicellular organisms, you know, are able to get their crustaceans out of these fallen carbon dioxide or the carbonates that falls out into the ocean. All right. I mean, very nice and very interesting stuff that takes place. Very, very interesting. Now, so the point I'm making is, when I spoke about you jumping into a pool, it's not to say that I used to jump into a pool. No, the point I'm making is, when you jump into the pool, you know that the depth of the pool is finite. So you know you jump in the pool and them tell you, say 16 feet. So you know, say, by the time you go down and you hit the bottom of the pool is 16 feet. You can't go down in the ocean and hit the bottom of that ocean. Real talk. You are going to, let me not say anything further on that. Yeah, so it is very, very deep. So beyond the depth of that ocean, you are going to be having more lithosphere. So when you talk about the lithospheric mantle, right? So, which is bedrock. I recently went to a place where, you know, it had a pool, and it also, I would say, the backside of it is open to the ocean. Very serene, very nice. You know, you walk on the you know, the ground that is built, and you go out and you look into the water and you say, interesting. Look at these shells. Wow. Where do these shells come from? People don't know that this is a wave structure that now push them from outer deep sea onto the shore. And then now I'm there walking and looking on, and I say, boy, you know, you can't get out of a teacher of science anything but just thinking about science when you're observing nature. And I'm there walking and I'm looking in the ocean and I'm saying, wow. And I say, but boy, God goody. And yet still people are talking about, oh, the creationist story is not real, and you know, a whole lot of things started coming to me. And bam! I saw sea urchin. They say, you bugger you. I remember days when you dropped me in my foot bottom and me in a pain, because some serious pain that I did feel. Can't even have to walk from my toe You understand? And this thing just keep boring its way up. And I said, oh no, this is crazy stuff. That means if I can see a sea urchin this close up, it means that at some point in time, the wave is actually bringing in these sea urchins up. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to put on my slippers, because I'm not going to step on no sea urchin. And walking along the shore, guess what I saw? A sea urchin. Me say, bugger you. You think say you there go juke me in my foot bottom? It can't happen. What's the point? The point is, what we are accustomed to by just walking out maybe waist high or deep into the ocean, it is far more than that. And what it is that you see in terms of sand, beneath all of that is bedrock. So these little boys, well, not when I say little boys, some youngsters, teenagers, um, are guests to this place and they are running and jumping off into the ocean. And I say, but them crazy. Have they investigated to see if there's any rock? And this is not water now where you can see the bottom of the ocean. This is now blue water, so you're not seeing what is down there. And them jumping off and diving. No, suppose them dive and go itch up them head in a one rock. I mean, this is serious something. And they dive and they're going to run and like, okay. I know I won't die that way. You know why? Because I won't be doing it. So the point is, you have bedrock, and the ocean has different levels of gradation. So the further out you go, of course, is the deeper it's supposed to be. But the further out you go, you may have some sort of intrusion that would have taken place that would have created some island into the ocean itself. So you may not have all deep section. You may have a deep section and then all of a sudden say, but hold on, what is that out there? And because of some intrusion that would have taken place, it would have brought up some islands into the ocean, that some people go and capture and say, I'm going to build a house, or I'm going to create some structure here, to make something. So we are going to be having some lithosphere under here. Now, under here, we would have some crust going on, taking place here. And we have, and it's the lithosphere, so we have a lithosphere mantle here. And then beneath that, you're going to have the asthenosphere and with increased viscosity. All right. So it is, and what you're seeing here is not a smooth structure as it is, so to speak. I'm going to project something else to you. I mean, I sent you the documents already, the links already, but I'm going to project something more to you that will show you how you have these imperfections, so to speak, in the structure of the earth that cause a whole lot of things to happen, right? And this is my segue now into plate tectonics. All right. So remember, now you have to know some of the mineralogy that takes place in here. So we spoke about our nickel and iron, right? That exists in the outer and the inner core, right? We also know for the lower mantle, we talk about our oxides: iron, magnesium, aluminum, calcium, titanium, nickel, chromium. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you follow the news. All right. Let me not even ask a question. I'm going to suggest that we need to follow the news, right? Because on a couple of days ago, in the news, it was in NEPA. It was one of those other environmental agencies. It was Dion Jackson Miller's program. She, on today's Monday, on Friday, I believe, she was talking about, she played back something that she aired 3 years ago with some environmental agency talking about the protection of or minerals that are exposed in the ocean. The International Seabed Authority, when you visit them, they are downtown Jamaica Conference Center. When you go there and they show you pictures of minerals that are depositing in the ocean, it amazes you. You see platinum,
you see gold, you see nickel, you see so many different minerals. It, when me tell you, say it look good, it look good. Literal minerals precipitating into the ocean. Me not ask, me not make up nothing and say, boy, this is something that I have read. This is pictures that the oceanographers would have taken and presented to the International Seabed Authority. No, I don't want to get too much in it because I don't want to deviate too much from your syllabus. But one of the things that I would say to you is that there is something that we call the EEZ, the exclusive economic zone, right? So what happens is that, and this is no economic geology. I spoke to you the first time I met you about different aspects of geology. So this is no economic geology where no other country can actually come into our territory to mine these minerals. Sir, or you can talk so proudly about that. You don't know nothing, sir. Yeah, man. Because we have sensors within our EEZ or exclusive economic zones that any intrusion, submarine or otherwise, gets into in our exclusive economic zone will actually alert our marine police. And you know that the JCF has a marine division. So it will alert them, and they have divers within the police force that will go and protect what it is that we have in our structure. So the lady on Dion Jackson Miller's RGR program was saying that whenever we have mining always damage the environment, because when they're going to be mining some of these stuff, some of these minerals are embedded in you may not be embedded in corals, but you may damage the corals while mining for these minerals. And when you damage the corals, there are so many things. What are the what is the importance of the coral reef? Anybody knows?
Habitat for fish and wave break.
Yeah. Anything else though?
It stabilizes the shoreline.
Absolutely. What about all right, so I hear habitat for fish. Yes. So you talk about things that people talk about. You're not supposed to eat parrot because the parrot cleans the corals, which is why every time you buy parrot and you actually gut in the parrot, you find a whole lot of sand in the parrot compared to other types of fish, right? Because it is that they actually clean the corals and keep the corals alive, and it is really a habitat. Yes, it also protects our shoreline, breaking the waves, etc., etc. All of those stuff are correct, right? But when you're mining, best believe that you're going to be damaging those coral reefs, right? It means now that some of the smaller fish, the habitat for these smaller fish will go, because if the coral reef goes, it means that these little fish now don't have anywhere to hide, and the bigger fish going to come and do what?
Repeat the question, please.
No, I'm just saying, if these smaller fish don't have anywhere to hide, the habitat for them would have, when you have, say for example, when you burn sugar cane, for argument's sake, slash and burn method for reaping, what are some of the dangers? Let me see if you guys are thinking, putting in your geography in here now. What are some of the dangers when you use the slash and burn method?
Could cause soil erosion.
Okay, good. Soil erosion. What else? Erosion of the coral reef. All right, so we make that comparison. Good. What else?
Aids in biodiversity loss.
Say it again.
Aids in biodiversity loss.
Okay, explain for me.
Because when you burn certain plants, like the plants that you want to clear out, can also damage the soil, which wouldn't allow other plants to grow there.
What about the organisms? You're going to say organisms. What about the other organisms?
They don't have somewhere to live.
Very good. And what happens? Is that M word?
Migrate.
Thank you very much. So you're going to have migration of these rats and rodents, same difference, but we call them no. The other one I'm talking about, mongoose, and them something there, lizards, and um, these are things that helps to aerate the soil with the burrowing into the soil. Makes it good for planting, and yielding very good crops, etc., etc. So the point I'm making now is when you have the reef of the coral damaging, what is going to happen is that you may end up with migration of these smaller fish. Them poor little fish not have nowhere to hide. Them out in the wilderness. What will happen to them? The bigger fish never eat them. Talk truth.
Uh,
So
Yeah.
loss of
I don't hear that. Say that again.
I will say loss of biodiversity.
Absolutely, biodiversity at a galang. It is going to go. And remember, we ought to take care of the environment, not just where we can see, but what we can't see also. So when you mine, you are actually damaging the environment, whether in the sea or on land. We're damaging the environment. Damaging the environment. All right? And we're not going to talk about somebody talk about burning and it soil. Hello, when that they burn something leach into the ocean, it is polluting the ocean, it is polluting the reef, it will kill off the aquatic plants and animals. Loss of biodiversity there. So again, when we use our pesticides, that's exactly what is also happening. When it leaches into the rivers and streams, it not only damages our potable water, it not only kill aquatic plants and animals, but what it does, it increases the levels of SO2 and CO2 into the water. So you have a whole lot of acidity that is built up into the water that is now going to cause the loss of these aquatic plants and animals. So we have the stench that is built up. I don't know if anybody lives in St. Catherine, where they have to pass 6 miles. I went past 6 miles one day last week going in one direction, and I passed it coming back in the other direction in close proximity in a couple of days. And the window was down, and while I was driving there was a high stench, and I'm saying to myself, I think I know what.
Yes, sir. One sulfur kind of smell.
Is there anyone hearing me?
Yes,
Hearing you
sir,
now.
hear me now.
very nice, sir.
All right, sorry about that. I know something went wrong. Right? My internet says medium. All right, so I'm asking, has anybody driven across Mandela recently and smelled that high stench?
Yes, sir. It have a high sulfur kind of smell.
Okay, what do you think caused that smell, Mikey?
Well, two things. Pollution is
Very
the
good.
main reason,
Very good.
Dump.
and leaching from the dump.
All right. All right. So let me take the first one. Let me take the first one. The first one is the pollution. So the Rio Cobre that runs along Mandela, couple of years ago, you had a particular company. Don't want to implicate them now. We know we're online. We don't want to, this for them to go down and they could charge me. But they used to empty their effluents into the Cobre. So you see, they actually built up the Mandela in such a way that the river runs under the road now, right? And the Cobra, because of the heavy pollution, it is a buildup of the sulfides and the carbonates. So aquatic plants and animals are dead. So because of that now, you have that high stench that is coming from that particular area. Now NEPA has to come into play so that they can look at the effluents inside, because what happened was a particular company that makes juices used to empty their pulp into the Cobre. And the acidity,
got the name as well.
I'm not calling any names, I'm just saying the
I
pulp,
got the name.
the pulp was emptied into the Cobre, and the acidity built up, and it had that level, that high level. At one point in time, way back when, you had boys in the area literally fishing in the Cobre. That does not happen anymore, right? So what NEPA did was to come in and say, here the plan, no, we're going to charge you people. We're going to fine you, and in addition to the fine, you have to stand the cost of cleaning the area. Now, when I passed there recently and I smell how high it was, I said, oh my goodness, there goes this thing again. It now has to be cleaned once more, right? So we have to, and all of this now, and think of what we're talking about, where the Cobre is in relation to Mandela. So going into St. Catherine, Mandela would be on the left-hand side, right? I mean, not Mandela. The ocean will be on the left-hand side. So all of that is being leached now into the ocean. In addition to Riverton, that is beyond that. Because when you go on Spanish Town Road, we're going to have Riverton, where it is that you have oil and feces and battery stuff and melted plastic and all these things that are being leached into the ocean. You must have the sort of high stench that's coming up, right? So we have to be very careful of how it is that we take care of the environment. Now, think about it. When you look at the lithosphere, all of that being leached into the ocean, believe it or not, you see this section here that says high plasticity level. When you go and you have that level of buildup, what is happening is that you're reducing the biodiversity as well. Because when these aquatic animals try to chew on these plastic, and they get the choke and they die, and you lose, the different variants of aquatic animals. You're doing the environment much harm than it is that you're doing good. Remember, the ocean is used as a livelihood for man, So when we don't take care of the ocean and we do all these manner of things to the ocean, it means that man can't go fish, right? So when you go to the fisherman, say fish reach $1,300 a pound, $1,300 a pound for fish now, right? And I'm saying to myself, where are those days where you could have gone with $500 and get 2 pounds of fish? $1,300 a pound, because when the fisherman them say, boy, we can't get no fish out here, so again we have to go all the way past Keys in order to get any fish because of the migration. The water is becoming so polluted that the fish now decides, this is too toxic for me. I have to go either deep sea or move further out at sea. You understand? So it has a lot of implication. But yes, so we do have minerals precipitating in the ocean. So when we mine, we are actually losing some of the stuff. So really and truly, our exclusive economic zone is very lucrative. We have quite a bit of minerals at our disposal. But now other countries would want to come in and mine them, but we are going to say to them no, because when you do this, you are going to be, we're not getting anything out of it, because the man may say, here the plan, because it's our equipment, we want a 70-30. So by the time they take 70% of what will happen, we have little or nothing to get. All right. So it is very important that we do what it is that we need to do in terms of taking care of the environment. All right. So it says that the internal structure of the Earth, the geosphere, is layered in spherical shells consisting of an outer silicate crust. So most of what you see, like the sand that we're talking about, they are silicates. All right. So a highly viscous asthenosphere and mantle. a layer outer core that is much less viscous than the mantle and solid inner core, right? So this figure that we're looking at is layered in terms of chemistry and mineralogy. So we speak about the heavy chemistry in it and the mineralogy. So when you look in the lower mantle and you see your iron, your magnesium, your aluminum, your calcium, your titanium, your nickel, your chromium, some of these elements are transition metals. So like the titanium, the nickel, and the chromium, they are transition elements. So they are brightly colored. So trust me, one of these days, hopefully, I'm going to see if they are doing anything like that. And I'm going to see if I can either get some pictures or we can just, I don't know, I'm going to see what I can do in terms of showing you what some of these minerals look like that the International Seabed Authority is monitoring on a daily basis. Trust me, when I say they're monitoring, they have their cameras up that they can literally show you what is happening. These brightly colored minerals, the titanium, the nickel, and the chromium, you can actually see those, right? And they're in manageable quantities. If you ask me, they're in manageable quantities. But we have to be very careful of protecting our exclusive economic zones. All right? Now, and it continues. Now you have this link that I'm going to ask you to to go through to read. Matter of fact, I should ask: are there any questions regarding what it is that we look at just now?
That's from me, sir.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to get into too much of it because when you move into chemistry and the environment, you'll recognize that there are some factories, that produce electricity or otherwise that generate a lot of SO2 and CO2 in the atmosphere that causes a lot the buildup of acid rain into the clouds. When it rains, it comes back down and get onto the lithosphere that literally damages the lithosphere. We talk about acid rain. In some parts of the world, you will have evidence of acid rain taking place. Using an umbrella over a period of time, you will see literal holes in those umbrellas because of the acidity of the rain. I remember saying to the students last time around when I was doing chemistry with them that there was a report, in doing my research, there was a report in the United States and in California in particular. In California, the air quality in California is very bad. It's one of the worst globally. One of the worst globally, as per as a research has shown. One of the worst globally. And you think about it, trust me, you have only about cars there, man. So it is part of the regulation is for them to put the catalytic converter to their vehicles, so it is that they can convert some of the dangerous carbon dioxide, and reduce it. So it is that the monoxide rather, to reduce it in order to get it to oxidize it to move from the carbon monoxide into the dioxide, the useful dioxide, the useful dioxide. And what happens with the useful dioxide now is that the dioxide can be used for photosynthesis. So when it is used for photosynthesis, now of course you know what photosynthesis is, and photosynthesis not only takes place in on land, but it also takes place in the ocean. All right, so you're going to have the photosynthesis taking place right there. But what they found is that during COVID, what happened during COVID is that the air quality increased significantly. Can anybody hazard a guess why the air quality increased significantly during COVID?
More electricity being used.
Think about it.
Less fossil fuel being used.
Yes, sir, because everyone was inside and during quarantine, no one was driving around and so.
More lockdown.
Sir, we're not here, you know.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Sorry, Asia, what were you saying? You said something a while ago.
I was saying because of quarantine and lockdown, as Vanita said, there were less cars being driven, so they
Very
were
good.
road.
And this is where I want my science students to go. I want you to have that analytical mind so that you can um, decipher things like these. That's exactly what happened because of the restrictions that you know. I'll put it in the Jamaican way. Tanaya yard. Um, you had less cars driving to the point where in a couple of months the air quality in California became the best globally. Globally. So one of the things that we are saying is that yes, a car is important, but you see what it is that the car is doing to our environment. When you have a little one car, I say, throw me a little one car and don't. But you have another person with them little one car who's saying the same thing, and someone is with a one car saying the same thing. Your neighbor and you work at the same place, but your neighbor is driving and you are driving. And sometimes you have, in the whole complex, all of you, 3 or 4 or 5 people working on the same building in your complex, as opposed to say, here the plan. There are 5 of us who work in the building. We have similar lifestyle. We go to work and we always book up together in the car park going to work and book up in the car park coming home. Because some of these organizations in the States, because they are trying to reduce, the sort of sedentary lifestyle, them have gym down on the ground floor. So, I forgot to gym otherwise. So you finish work, you go down to gym, and then all leave out at the same time. Okay, fine, gone. Why not say today you will drive and we carpool? Tomorrow is you. So no one person is going to say, but I'm using gas all the time, right? So today Mikey drive and take up the rest of you. Then Daniela drive, and then Asia drive, and then Sershan drive, and at least we spread it out, right? But no, everybody's going to drive. Everybody wants to drive, and it is damaging the environment to the point where um, the air quality, it was suffocating people to breathe, and then they look and see all of that. So I am to follow up on that research that was done and to see what it is that the governor of California is going to be doing now in terms of once things have regularized and people are now returning to their normal lives or way of living, if there's going to be any difference in the air quality. So it's a whole lot of things that are happening, right? And it comes back to the whole business of the environment. What it is that we do, one has implication of the other. And the last thing that I'll say on this before I move to the other document is, and I hinted on this the last time around, I want you, whenever you're going to the country, not to take the old road. I want you to drive on the highway. And I don't want you to drive fast because I don't want you to meet in an accident and kill off on yourself like some of these people who are driving so recklessly on the road over this weekend. But I want you to take your time and drive. And if it means safely pull off and just look at the lithosphere. What is the lithosphere, sir? We may walk on. And look, take photographs to see how these engineers cut through the earth, literally cut through the mountains, to build the road, the highway. and leave section of the lithosphere exposed to weathering, damaging the lithosphere. There are cracks in the lithosphere that now is seeping water and other chemicals from the leaching of what it is that we use, atop the hill for farming, and it runs down, and it will have all of these pollutants running into the lithosphere, running and seeping through our groundwater reserve and the likes, right? Also, what is happening is that cutting through the lithosphere will actually remove some of the trees. Anybody knows the purpose of a tree, really? Well, one of the purposes, because a tree has so many purposes. Talk to me.
Hold the soil together.
Absolutely, Paz. So, right, rooting structure. That's the answer I was looking for, Paz. Right, we know that it also is very important because it uses a carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to photosynthesize, etc., etc. But I was speaking in particular about the rooting structure. The rooting structure binds these loose dirt together, so it is that it becomes stable. So when you remove these trees, you are going to open yourselves up for land slippage, and this is what has been happening to some sections of the lithosphere, and in particular along that coast. What they should have done is to build a groin, and in some areas you see they build some groin in order to protect. What they also do in other areas is to mesh. What they also do in other areas is to spray liquid grass so that grass can grow, because the grass also protects the lithosphere, right? So there are so many areas and so many things that we can do, that when we disturb the environment, we can actually minimize the decay of it. All right. So when you talk about the geosphere, we are actually talking about the internal structure of the earth. So the geosphere is really talking about the crust, the mantle, and the core. All right. So let me stop share here, and let me see if I can let me see if I can share something else. As I said before, you already have the sources in your in the group. This is a more simplified version of what it is that we looked at. You notice this one is saying 5,100 kilometers, but when we looked at our drawing, the earlier drawing, we saw it range from 4,400 to 6,700. Anybody remember those numbers?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this one is saying it has a depth of 6,378, right? And of course, this is just really an estimation, right? The other diagram that we looked at just now was saying 4,400 to 6,700 kilometers in depth, right? So we know that the geosphere has a core, the crust, and the mantle, right? And we talk about our core, our inner and outer core. One is solid, one is liquid, and this is what we have here. And then we're going to have our mantle that includes the asthenosphere, and sections of the lithosphere too. Sections of the lithosphere, right? And of course we have the crust. All right, and so just have a look at that. I'm going to come back to this diagram here, which is where I want to have or some further conversations. Now here is a zoom in look at the crust and the mantle, the upper mantle. All right, so we have a mantle continuous down to core. So down here we have more stuff. Here is going to have the asthenosphere, which is the upper part of the Earth's mantle, from 80 kilometers to 200, rocks are in a semi-molten state. So this is the point I was trying to, to get at. It's a semi-molten state. And if you look at this color code here, you'll see where the darker portion now will really represent what? Let me see if you're thinking. The darker portion. Huh?
It's hotter.
Sir, which color are you referring to?
The darker part, don't the mantle here.
Oh, where it says the mantle continues down to core?
Yeah, what do you think the darker part down here? So beneath that, what do you think it represents?
The magma, sir?
Okay. All right. What I was really hinting at is that is a change of state. So you see up here is a lighter color, and above this dotted line here, you see it continues into the mantle, from the asthenosphere into the mantle here. So, very good. So I am looking down to the darker portion here as a solid, and then you see this transitional state here, right here. So here you're going to have the molten state. You're going to have a section of the molten state until it gradually moves on until it gets to solid, right? So this is a transition zone between the solid crust and the molten mantle, right? So it's not down here, so that is solid, and then up here says liquid. This is molten. So there's a gradation between the molten state into the solid state, all right? And then the lithosphere now is a crust and rigid top of the mantle, right? So you have oceanic, the ocean water here, which is what we just looked at, and then we have the oceanic crust, right? The oceanic crust is bedrock in the ocean, so to speak. So you have the oceanic crust, and we have the continental crust. So that's what the lithosphere is made up of, right? So we have the oceanic crust, and we have the continental crust. What do you think the continental crust is?
The land portion of the crust.
Thank you very much. Oh, goodness gracious. I wish more of you will read more. Yeah, that's the land section of it, right? We may you walk upon, and we dig out the ground, and we make houses, so forth and so on. You see this oceanic crust? When you are looking at places like bridges, like the causeway that is not made up of strings, like the Golden Gates Bridge in California, for argument's sake. So the Golden Gates Bridge in California is, for me, a very dangerous bridge. I don't think I would want to drive over it, even though I was told that, oh yes, you have driven over it one of these nights. I said, oh, clearly I must be sleeping. I was asleep, and I'm happy that I was asleep. But the Golden Gate Bridge is strong, and you can go and look it up. It is strung up by a whole heap of strings, Now, and it is so high up from the ocean, and unfortunately, they are saying that when a lot of people commit suicides, there, because they just go and just jump off into the ocean because whatever the situation is, right? But for us, like when we talk about the causeway and some, the causeway is one of the things that come to mind readily. They're actually drilling down into the oceanic crust. The deep sea drilling program, they're actually drilling down into the oceanic crust in order to build these stills so that the bridges can be mounted on. All right? Serious stuff. Serious piece of construction. You have to be some serious engineers in order to get that right. If not, trust me, not just you, but you and your company will go all the way down. All right? Literally and figuratively. Very, very important. All right. So what I'm going to do here now is somewhat turn the conversation into plate tectonics. One of the things that I recognize is that I'm doing a lot of speaking, and And when I call upon people and not getting the rousing participation that I'm expecting, but nonetheless. So we're going to look at some backgrounds to some plate tectonics. And of course, this here is just to whet your appetites. I want you guys to go and read. It says that the Earth is estimated to be 4.6 billion years old. And of course, some readings that we did recently did say 4.7. Remember, this is not anything exact. These are just approximations. So you may say 4.6 here in one reading. In the other reading, you may say 4.7 billion, right? The last one we looked at was 4.7. And formed from the aggregation of materials thrown out by the explosion of a star in what scientists call the Big Bang. Scientists believe that the Earth would have started life as a ball of molten material that slowly cooled from the surface downwards to form a crust of solidified rocks. Over time, gases escaping from the Earth's interior via volcanic activity form a primitive atmosphere that would have been very different from the one that exists today. The other hazards of the early Earth would have been many asteroid impact, and the Earth would not have been conducive to life. Many of the things that we know would simply not have existed: oceans, clouds and water, flowering plants, etc. Indeed, the oldest preserved and known rocks and planets are generally dated between 2.5 and 3.8 billion years, the oldest having been found in the Canadian Shield on the coastline of Hudson Bay. And it goes on to say many of the modern features of the countries of our planets are relatively recent. Rocks in northwest Iceland are only 16 million years old, with some older underlying volcanic rocks having been dated up to 37 million years old. And you can look at the source at some point in time. Remember, now I'm going through this. You have the article, so you can go through it again to slow read and to digest what is happening. The British Isles are much older, where the oldest rocks are found at the surface of northwest Scotland and are more than half as old as the planet. Human beings, therefore, are very recent arrival on the geological scene, arriving only 2.3 to 2.4 million years ago in Africa, right? And we can talk about the geological timescale. Now, we have looked at the geological timescale in the past, right? All of these dates that are given, of course, are estimates. So all of this, what you're saying, that the formation of the Earth here would have taken place long before human beings came into existence, long before. And if we go back to the creation story, you will recognize that landform was there before. And then, in the creation story in Genesis, it says, God saw that this was good and said, boy, I created all of this. Where's man? We need to have man now who is going to inhabit and to take care of, having dominion over land and sea, so forth and so on. And he created Adam. And then after that, now he said, boy, the brother can't stay alone, I'm going to need one little helper, one little mate, so him can just chillax with her and thing. So put the man to sleep, and boy, he said, boy, Bridget, I'm going to take one of your ribena. And said, boy, come, boom. There goes Eve. So now Adam had a helper. So I say this to say to you that, remember, I'm going to say this to you again. I think a lot of times we are taking things literally. That, in day one, this was done. In day two, this was done. In day three, this was done. But scripture also says to us that 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord. I will just leave that statement there to say to you that we had formation of all these things happening before human beings' arrival on the geological scene. All right. So tectonics is a theory that tries to explain how the earth is structured and what it is made up of. All right. So tectonics is really a theory that really tries to do some explanation how the earth is structured and what it is made up of. The human race has never been to the center of our own planet, so scientists have had to use various pieces of evidence to show the structure of the earth. This theory has evolved massively over time and has taken multiple pieces of evidence to prove it as the best theory we have to explain what is in the center of our planet and the processes that occur at the surface. So you cannot study the structure of the earth without looking at your tectonics, right? Because this is what it is that we're going to be using to explain how earth is structured and its constituents. All right. The theory is that the earth formed approximately 4.5 billion years ago following a huge explosion of a star. Huge explosion of a star. All right. The materials that make up the earth slowly gather together due to gravity to create a ball of hot molten material. And then now when someone say, yes, sir, but we just said a while ago about the creationist story, we don't know if that happened. We don't know. This explosion of a star, you don't know if God just decided, boom, and that was the explosion of a star that caused that creation. You and I don't know. I don't know. Right? The materials that make up the earth slowly gather together due to gravity to create a ball of hot molten material. The material has slowly cooled over geological time, forming a crust at the Earth's surface of rocks, which are known collectively as the lithosphere. So what it is saying here that the lithosphere is a collection of rocks. So it's not only one rock alone you can see in the lithosphere. And trust me, I don't know if because of what it is that I study, but I have an affinity for rocks. So I have a planter bed, and what I have done with the planter bed is just have variety of rocks there. Pink rocks, green and pink rocks. It just amazes me. So whenever I go to the beach, it is my responsibility to take back something that is very specific, and unique. And because, as I said before, we don't know if when God was creating the universe, if this explosion that we're making reference to here, if this was not his doing. All right. So we know that the materials cool over geological time, forming the crust of the earth, which are known collectively as the lithosphere. The rocks are fractured into huge segments called tectonic plates. Huge sections called tectonic plates. These tectonic plates are moving about very slowly, pushed and shoved around from underneath by currents within the mantle called the convection currents. Now, let me say this to you. Remember, the mantle has what? The mantle has oh Lord, but if I do this, I'm not going to see it. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let us look at the mantle. The mantle here is having the upper mantle here and the lower mantle. All right. Now look at what happens. In this zone, we have. Well, we know we have the solid zone here. We have the liquid zone here. We have. If this is the liquid zone, that means here so it's going to be. It says some solid plastic, but we also have high plasticity level here that is highly viscous, and you have levels of molten rocks that are here. So when we speak of let me see if I can find out that. When we speak of this, these tectonic plates are moving about very slowly, pushed and shoved around from underneath by currents. These currents are formed from some of these molten rocks that are within the Earth's crust, right? So you remember that plastic Oh, let's see if I can go back to it. It's this plastic, solid plastic reed here in the mesosphere. It is okay. Let us look at the asthenosphere here, which is part of the mantle. All right, the asthenosphere. It says increased viscosity. It means that it is viscous. It is viscous. So the lithosphere here is a solid, but you're going to have a solid piece here that is, it moves, but it's so viscous that it moves very slowly. Remember, I was creating that comparison with the viscosity of the lava, that is very viscous. That it is solid, but it moves, and it moves very slowly compared to the lava that is high in viscosity, that is more liquidy. You following what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So this is what now is causing the tectonics, the plates, to be able to move, right? Now, just imagine when this section here gets very hot and the heat is being transmitted through from the inner core to from the inner core to the crust, and this solid plastic becomes in the mesosphere, becomes liquefied and increasing the viscosity within the asthenosphere, you must end up with the moving of these plates about very slowly. Tell me if that makes sense to you. Hello, somebody. Does that make sense?
Sir, I didn't understand the last part. I understand the part about where you said it moves from the core up to the mantle.
Right. So I'm saying to you, with this increased temperature right here, what is happening? This increased temperature, when it gets very hot, it means that the temperature is moving from the solid space into this liquid transitional phase, into the mesosphere, which is our solid plastic. So at some point in time, this solid plastic is going to become somewhat liquefied. That is going to cause the tectonics of plates to be able to move around. So I'm asking if you see now where when here gets very hot and you have the plates being able to move about, that you're going to have things like, well, let me not go there yet, but it is cause for these tectonic plates are moving, the slow movements of these tectonic plates, because they're pushed around from underneath by currents within the mantle. So do you understand what I'm saying in terms of the heat is causing some of these plastic within the mesosphere to somewhat melt. So it has more liquidy form to it. So it means that the current that is being built up under there is causing these plates to move around. Can you vision what I'm talking about there?
Yes, sir, I can.
What about the others, guys? What about the rest of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me then, man. All right, so see the explanation here now. Beneath the crust, temperature starts to rise. We just say it. As you descend into the second of the Earth's zone, the mantle, a zone of molten silicates and other minerals. However, this boundary is not abrupt, but is more transitional. That's what I'm saying to you earlier. As the crust gives way to mantle, this zone is known as the asthenosphere. Right? Now, here what is happening now. The Earth does not have a solid core of iron and nickel. Sorry, the Earth does have a solid core of iron and nickel, which is what we spoke about earlier, well, last week. See here, solid core of iron and nickel, right? That much you must remember. So it does have a solid core of iron and nickel, which is solid despite temperature of 6,200 degrees centigrade because of the intense pressure there. So in order for you to get this thing melted, a whole heap of centigrade you have to go reach now, because even though the temperature is 6,200, right? But here I go on. It says, once more, there is a transitional zone between the outer core and the mantle known as the Gutenberg discontinuity. All right? Look at what happens here. The evidence we have from these zones come from the different seismic wave and the way they travel through the earth. There are body waves, P and S waves, and those that travel only to the surface. Talk about L waves. Now the P waves, P for primary, are the fastest waves that arrive first at recording stations and can travel through both solids and liquids. So you know it can pass through the geosphere because the geosphere is consisting of those solids and liquids, right? The S waves, which are the secondary waves, arrive much later than the P waves and travel at roughly half their speed. The waves shake the ground from side to side by vibrating at right angle to the direction of travel. S waves are unable to travel through liquids. L waves are restricted to the surface and travel even slower than S wave and hence are last to arrive at the recording station. There are two types of L waves. Love waves vibrate at right angles to the direction of movement but have no vertical movement, whilst the relay waves have both vertical and horizontal displacement of ground. So when you talk about the earthquakes, sometimes you have an earthquake that it's more of a lateral move. Think of you sitting on a chair and somebody troublesome like Mikey, Asia. You sit up on a chair and Mikey say, Mikey want to get your attention, and instead of him say, Asia, him hold the chair and him trying, him hold the chair and just pulling it from side to side. That is the lateral movement of some earthquakes, right? And trust me, in very recent times, during COVID, as a matter of fact, I remember one night, one early morning, I'm sleeping and I felt the bed moving from side to side, and I'm saying to myself, okay, so I am dreaming. And then now, when it became very intense, I opened my eye and I said to myself, but hold on, I'm not dreaming anymore. What keep? And then I saw things now start to move, and I said, cockroach, I really want earthquake we have? And they said, no, this is not how I will die. I said, no, God, ouch, this is not how I will die. So yes, you do have these waves. You have the P waves, primary waves, or S waves, or secondary waves, and you have the L waves. These are restricted to the surface and traveling even slower than our secondary waves, and hence last to arrive at the recording station. There are two types of L waves, remember. The love waves vibrate at right angles to the direction of the movement, and have no vertical movement, while the relay waves have both vertical and horizontal displacement of the ground. This is what I want to spend a little bit of time on. Wow, the internal plates, the structure of the Earth, the internal structure of the Earth.
Sir,
So
before you continue, the convection current is only found under the crust, or is it in every semi-molten or semi-liquid area of the Earth's interior?
Yeah, man. So it will have to be found under the crust. Yes, it will have to be found under the crust. But it also does exist within the semi-molten section, because remember, if you don't have any molten state, you're not going to have that sort of current that will cause movement. You follow what I'm saying? So without the current, you won't be able to have the movement of these plates.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, because remember now, remember now. I'm just trying to find an example. Hold on. All right. So now, I don't know. As of late, I don't know if it was design or maybe What the word them call again? I will tell what the word is. Anyway, can't remember the word. But I don't know, maybe because of my search pattern, I know there's a word for it. It soon come to me. The algorithm is the word I'm looking at. I think YouTube has studied my algorithm in what it is that I search online. So what YouTube has been doing now is every time I go on, I am seeing sometimes structures that would have lost their foundation, and as a result of that, you see the houses capsizing. Some very nice houses too, just capsize, and my heart goes up because especially if you work so hard, long and hard in order to build, and then you just lose your investment just like that. Now, what I'm saying to you, Mikey, is if my plates are secure in bedrock, where there's no disturbance, so to speak, those plates won't move. But think now of the lithosphere, the earth beneath is either becoming liquefied, or there is some disturbance or levels of movement. That's when we're going to have the plates moving, right? So when you talk about the molten rocks there, causing a buildup of gas, because the gases too can put pressure on these plates to cause the plates to slide over each other, right? Because they act as, the want of a better word, like a lubricant. So these plates will literally slide over each other. And you also have right here, you have some of these plates that occur within the ocean. The NASA plate, some of the Caribbean plate here, the Cusco plate, the African plate, you name it. So you have some of these plates that exist in the ocean, and as a result of that, when you have these plates moving in the ocean, that's where you're going to have these tsunamis being created. And I remember, oh Lord, this was very recent. When I say recent, maybe within the 10 years. I think the one in Asia, where people are literally on the beach, and then now the alarm sounded, and people say, "Hey, come on, you need to move. Serious catastrophe about to happen." And people were in their hotel rooms and literally saw where the water in the pool literally move to one side and then gush back to the other side. Go online. You guys have access to all of these things online now, right? And over time, you saw where the waves just kept coming in and it washed out. It caused several deaths to take place because some people were just underestimating. Some people were on low-lying areas and couldn't get to high enough areas and drowned. Real talk. So some of these gases too can cause, because of the molten state again, gases are being produced every time that can cause these plates to slide over each other, causing movements within the crust. And the movements within the crust now is going to literally put your hand. Do me a favor. Put your hand. This is what one of my lecturers normally do to explain what is happening. Clench your four fingers, all of you. Clench your four fingers together, and rest whichever one, right over left or left over right. Rest those four fingers atop, not fully, about halfway the other hand. All right, and then what you do is slightly lift. So those four fingers are plates, right? One plate sitting on top of the other plate. Now, if you slowly lift the fingers that are on top, this is where one of the plates is actually lifting. All right. Now, this lifting of the plate can be as a result of the convection, the currents moving underneath in the molten state. It could be the gases that are being produced, or for whatever reason that you have the movement of these plates. Now, when you lift those four fingers that are sitting on top of the other fingers, it means that the bodies of water that is placed on top of those four fingers that you're lifting, that body of water is also going to be lifted. And trust me, it may not be lifted and thrown overboard the same time. It may take a couple of minutes or hours even for you to see the effects on land. Am I making any sense there? Anybody can relate? Anybody can vision what it is that I just said a while ago? Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, talk to me. All right, so I want us to spend, students, we're not going to ask them again for reading, we know it rough, but I want you guys to read. It's very interesting. It makes for better understanding of what is happening. All right. All right. It makes a better understanding of what it is that you're studying, right? It makes very good reading. Let me see if I can go through this. So it's important for you to go through. The article ends there. I want to spend some time here and just to go through some of this stuff here. Now, so this is the Earth. This is our sphere that we're talking about. And this is a section, a peep through of our inner core, or inner core, solid core of iron and nickel, which is a solid despite a temperature of 3,700 G's on P, sir. Every article you take up and read is a different temperature they give you. Don't worry about it. It is arranged. All right. So one we read a while ago, earlier, 4,400 to 6,700. One we just read for 5,800, 6,374, and now we're seeing something here that says 3,700 degrees. Don't worry about it. Just know say it hot. All right. Because of the intense pressure, right? This is our inner core, inner solid core. Then we have the outer core under slightly less pressure, under pressure too, but under slightly less pressure. Here is solid. Here, it's molten, but you're going to have a transitional phase between the two. You're going to have a transitional phase. Let me show you the other one. You're going to have a transitional phase, transition zone between the two. It's so important it is for me not to demonstrate something. You have to go to 3 drawings. One may be simplified, one may be more detailed. So the inner core, outer core, you will have a transition phase, right? And there's a reason why this is one color, but this color is more understand you? Want to talk to me now?
Sorry, it gone a while ago.
And I'm saying to myself, no, answer me. Sure, this internet business. Mikey and others, can you see the convection currents are taking place right here, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Mikey look like him gone. All right. So yes, Michael. So when you talk about the convection currents, look at what it says about convection currents. Heat current in the molten magma that moves across above very slowly. This is the current that is generated in the molten magma. In the molten magma. That's what is causing the movements of these plates. As he correctly asked, you're going to have the asthenosphere right here in this purple area, the asthenosphere, and that's the upper part of the mantle, approximately 80 kilometers deep, where the rocks are kept in a semi-molten state. And here you're going to have a lower mantle where you have a convection of the current taking place here, right? This green piece here is where it is that you have the lithosphere. The lithosphere taking place right here. And then you have the crust of the earth on the outside, right? The crust, two types, oceanic and of course continental. Oceanic crust, water. Continental crust, land. All right? So that's what it is that we have. You're going to have the crust, the two types, oceanic, and you're going to have the continental, right? So oceanic, denser, newer, thinner, and continental, older, thicker, and less dense. All right? Any questions so far?
Sir, question. If I said lithosphere is made up of the upper mantle and the crust, the upper mantle will be the asthenosphere. So why is it separated from the lithosphere?
Say it again, honey. Why is it separated from the
color? I mean, the asthenosphere is purple and lithosphere is green. Why isn't the asthenosphere part of the lithosphere in this diagram?
Yeah, man. So ask the question before. Where you started off, you said that the asthenosphere is the lithosphere is what?
The lithosphere is the upper part of the mantle and the.
Hold on. Where is the mantle? Let me show you from here. See the lithosphere here? So you have the lithospheric mantle, right? So you have the upper mantle. Above the upper mantle here is where it is that you're going to have the lithosphere. So the lithosphere, see, if you look at this here, this is the upper mantle. I hope you're seeing this drawing. This is the upper mantle here, right? And then we have the lithospheric mantle. So there is the barrier between the lithospheric mantle and the upper mantle, right? You have the lower mantle here. So above the upper mantle is where it is that we have the lithosphere, right? And then we have the crust atop it. If you go back to this one here, it's the same thing. So you have the upper mantle here. In here. So in here is the mantle, you know. So one you're going to have, remember, you're going to have the core, the mantle, and the crust. So inside of here, we have the convection current. You're going to have the lower and the upper mantle in here. And in the upper mantle, the topmost part of it is where we have the asthenosphere. And then the lithosphere is going to be, oopsie daisy, the lithosphere is going to be right there. Oh, I'm sorry, I just did that a while ago. Oh, Lord. All right, good. Let me go back, Asia. So, the oceanic crust, the continental crust. Under the continental crust here, you're going to have the lithosphere right here, so, which is a part of the continental crust, incidentally. All right? And then you have the asthenosphere. So there is a bridge between the lithosphere and the asthenosphere. You see that, Asia?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm seeing it now.
All right, good. And then now, where do I go, Lord? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Is it here? No, it's not there. Right. And then now, when I come, so remember, remember I said there's a divide between the lithosphere and the asthenosphere.
Yes, sir.
So this green part is the lithosphere. And then the purple part is the asthenosphere. So we have the lithosphere and the asthenosphere, right? Then you have the mantle. So this is a part of the mantle also. And then this piece here is when you have the crust. So I don't know if it clears it up for you. It does?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Thanks for asking your question. All right. So right, see, we have the crust here, the outer part of the crust. And remember the outer part of the crust, not the outer part of the crust, but the crust itself. You will have the oceanic crust. The crust is broken up into two parts. You have the oceanic crust, and you also have the continental crust. Now beneath the crust is where it is now that we're going to have a section of the crust. You're going to have your lithosphere. After the lithosphere, we're going to have your asthenosphere. And this is piece of the mantle. So this mantle here, we're going to have your convection current. We have the lower mantle, the upper mantle. Remember, your convection currents in here is as a result of the molten magma that will be able to move the crust very slowly. This here, convection here, is what is causing plate tectonics, the movement of these plates. All right. So let us go. See here, I didn't even see this arrow there for the yellow part. I didn't even make note of it. So I was saying to you that in here, the yellow part is a mantle. You're going to have the upper and the lower mantle. So if you want to do a divide inside here, so you can have up here as the upper mantle, down here as the lower mantle. I think they didn't separate it because we have the convection taking place within the mantle. So the mantle, a zone of molten silicates and other minerals, molten, so it moves. The source of the Earth's intense inner heat, which sets up convection currents. So yes, Mikey, at a party has to take place. Inside the so, right there so. Them nowadays people say yes sir, right there so. All right. So this is where you're going to have your convection, and then now the crust are where we look upon it now. The outer piece of the crust is what we see, what we can see with our naked eye. It's going to be fractured into tectonic plates, right? Eurasian plate, African plate, North American plate, Caribbean plate. Yeah, man, it's going to be fractured into these plates. So those are the plates that will move as a result of the mantle, the current that builds up from my molten magma, right? And it's molten, so it is liquid. Once you talk about something that is molten, it is rock that is melted rock. It's not water, but it's melted rock, right? So it is moving. But here what happens now? You see the plate margin are these little things here. So just imagine this. In the Caribbean here, you have the Caribbean plate, then you have this plate, then you have that plate, then you have another plate. So just imagine if these plates decide to start moving up and down around the plates. Serious movements, catastrophic events taking place. The edges of the plates where two plates are either moving apart, colliding together, or sliding past one another. Remember what I said to you when you approach your four fingers on either hand from afar and coming to each other, it means that those plates are sliding on. When you put one hand atop the other, it means that those plates are sliding past one. If there is a buildup of the current under there that is really causing the movement of these plates, but gas is also being produced, and if you have a series of gas that is causing pressure on one of those plates, and trust me, pressure bust pipe. May not ask you. The pressure that is under there will actually cause one of the plates to move, and the movement of one of the plates can cause catastrophic events, taking place. Any question, guys? Ask me. Is it clear as mud?
As mud, sir.
Clear as mud. All right.
Clear as a well-polished.
I hear you. All right. All right. I am having a challenge. Let me go back and see if Lord Jesus. Erroneous click on us went up. All right. So wrapping up, it says that the waves are important because studies of them have revealed the interior of the Earth to scientists. P and S wave, or primary and secondary wave, travel through the Earth interior and can be recorded on seismographs. And this is how we know when we hear an earthquake come, we know exactly the center of the earthquake, because these seismologists measure these P waves and S waves to tell you the intensity of it. All right. So the P and S waves travel at different rates depending upon what material they are traveling through. As a matter of fact, when these waves are traveling through areas that are mainly built up of conglomerates, like the Hope Pasture area, trust me, you may have a little vibration taking place, but because it is passing through these conglomerates, meaning these little stones that are clumped, that are coming together, it causes a vibration even more. So you may have a 1.2 megahertz of the earthquake coming, but because it is passing through the different materials, it causes a greater vibration. So it can be transferred from a 1.2 into something that is a 6 because of the material that it is passing through. All right. So the center of the quake, for argument's sake, is very important. That's why sometimes, guys, we can hear that the center of the earthquake was in Mexico. And say Mexico, then how the heck it reached Jamaica? Best believe, because of the plate that remember now, if you look Caribbean plate, look at the Caribbean plate. Florida is somewhere off here. The Gulf of Mexico is inside here, so talk truth. Hello, somebody. I'm gone again. Hello.
Oh, we're hearing it. We're hearing it.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is that you can have the center of the quake that is taking place, but because it's in the ocean here, and we have different plates inside there, it propels. So it is that within Jamaica, somewhere inside right here, so we can actually feel the effects of that earthquake. All right. So it depends on the material that they are traveling through, right? And S wave cannot pass through liquids, right? This means that scientists can use this information from seismographs to show what materials the waves have traveled through. The molten mantle has been detected because S waves do not travel at seismographs when the waves have traveled through the interior of the earth. They stop traveling through the liquid. The asthenosphere has shown that this zone has around 10% molten material, and both P and S waves slow down in the zone 100 to 250 kilometers below the surface. All right? And then it says that scientists have used this information from seismometers to show that the Earth within the 3 convectional divisions of Earth crust, mantle, and core, with the discontinuities in them. And you can watch an animation of this right here. I won't do the animation now. You have access to the stuff. You can go and click on the animation of the stuff. So this is what it is. So you have your inner core, outer core, your mantle. You have, of course, your asthenosphere, your sphere, and your crust. Right? You should be able to label by now the structure of the Earth and to talk more about it, its mineralogy, temperature, etc., etc. Right? So go and look at animation here, and it will tell you that the Earth's crust is divided into chunks of solid rocks called tectonic plates. Right? Solid rocks called tectonic plates. They are varying size in the Earth's surface and can be likened to that of a boiled egg, which has been cracked. The major plates include the Pacific, the African, the Antarctic, North American, South American, the Indian, Australian, etc., etc. There are other smaller plates, however, such as the Philippine and the Coca plates. These plates are made up of different materials and are 2 broad types. And you talk about continental crust, so forth and so on, right? So it is, and of course, that we talk about continental crust and the oceanic crust. When we look at that, oceanic crust, ocean water, oceanic crust is inside here. The continental crust is somewhere else, right? Land that you and I are looking at. Recognize the thickness. The thickness here is 20 to 70 kilometers thick. Here is 10 kilometers thick, right? So we have a bigger thickness of the continental crust than we do with the oceanic crust. So in a nutshell, that's what it is we look at when we're talking about the internal structure of the Earth and as it relates to plate tectonics. Any questions? Remember, this is just me giving you whetting your appetites on the explanation of what is happening here. And now, outside of these explanations, it is going to be up to you now to go and read to get more information. Say, sir, but I read on this thing, and we can investigate more of what is happening. But in a nutshell, that's what it is. As we look at the structure of the Earth and the plates that are made up within the structure. Any questions?
No question from me, sir.
All right. And since there are no questions, I will just say thank you very much for coming out. Thank you very much for being part of us. You have documentation of what it is that we have done. At any point in time, you can be asked to explain the movements of these plates, where within the Earth's structure you have the movements taking place. You can talk about what is generating the movements. You should be able to label fully the different sections of the structure of the Earth. You should be able to speak of the mineralogy within the structure of the Earth. You need to be able to talk about the temperatures at which these minerals occur, and in the state that is in inner outer core, the upper lower mantle, the asthenosphere, the mesosphere, the crust, and you can look at both the two types, the oceanic and the continental. Speak also about the plates and what can cause the movements, etc., etc. So it makes a very interesting read, and I'm going to ask that you really go through, read to just concretize what it is that we have done tonight. All right. So thanks very much for coming out, and we will meet again on Wednesday of this week. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.